Welcome to Rich Mind Narrations. Today, we are going to enter a different way of thinking. Not the way most people think about money, not the way society teaches us to chase a paycheck, spend what we earn, and then wonder why financial freedom always seems so far away. Today, we are going to look at money from a completely different perspective. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that the biggest difference between being financially trapped and becoming financially free may not begin with the amount of money in your bank account. It may begin with the way you think about money. The world is filled with people who earn money, spend money, worry about money, and constantly chase more money. But very few people stop and ask a deeper question. What do wealthy people actually believe about money? What do they do differently when they receive it? How do they make decisions when everyone around them is making emotional decisions? And perhaps most importantly, how do they think about money when they don't have much of it? Because wealth is not simply about having money. Wealth is about understanding what money can do, what it cannot do, and how to use it as a tool instead of allowing it to control your life. Think about the difference between someone who receives $1,000 and immediately asks, "What can I buy?" Now, imagine someone who receives the same $1,000 and asks, "How can I use this money to create more value?" Those two people have the same amount of money, but they are asking completely different questions. One is thinking like a consumer, the other is thinking like an owner. And that small difference in thinking can influence the decisions they make for years. This does not mean every wealthy person thinks exactly the same way. There is no secret formula that guarantees someone will become a billionaire. Building wealth also depends on opportunity, skills, timing, discipline, risk, circumstances, and sometimes luck. But there are patterns in the way successful people approach money that are worth studying. The first thing to understand is that wealthy thinking begins with patience. We live in a world that constantly tells us that we should have everything immediately. We want the new phone immediately. We want the expensive car immediately. We want the perfect house immediately. We want success immediately. And when success does not arrive quickly, many people become frustrated and give up. But money often works differently. Small decisions repeated over a long period can become powerful. A person who learns a valuable skill today may not become wealthy tomorrow, but that skill can become more valuable with experience. A person who begins saving today may not feel rich next month, but consistent saving can create a financial foundation. A person who starts a business may struggle in the beginning. They may make mistakes. They may lose money. They may have months when nothing seems to work. But if they learn from those experiences and continue improving, the knowledge they gain can become more valuable than the money they lost. This is why patience matters. Wealth is often built quietly. You may not see the progress every day. You may work for months and feel as if nothing is changing. You may save money and look at the balance and think it is still too small. You may spend years learning something before anyone recognizes your ability, but progress does not always announce itself. A tree does not become tall because you stare at it every morning. It grows because something is happening beneath the surface. The same can be true with your finances, your skills, your business, and your mindset. You have to be willing to work on things that may not produce an immediate reward. This is one of the most important differences between short-term thinking and long-term thinking. Short-term thinking asks, what do I get today? Long-term thinking asks, what can this decision become 5 years from now? That question can change everything. Before buying something, ask yourself whether you are purchasing an experience, a necessity, or simply trying to impress people. Before spending your entire paycheck, ask yourself whether future you will be grateful for today's decision. Before taking on debt, ask yourself what that debt is helping you build. Before quitting because you're not seeing results, ask yourself whether you have truly given your effort enough time to grow. The goal is not to become afraid of spending money. Money is meant to be used. The goal is to become intentional. There is a difference between spending money and wasting money. But there is another lesson that separates people who simply earn money from people who understand money. And that lesson is ownership. When you work for someone, you are usually exchanging your time and skills for income. There is nothing wrong with that. A job can provide stability, experience, knowledge, and an opportunity to build a foundation. But if your only source of income is the hours you personally work, there is a limit to how much you can earn because your time is limited. You only have so many hours in a day. This is why wealthy people often think beyond income and begin thinking about ownership. Ownership means having something that can create value without requiring you to personally perform every single task forever. It could be a business, it could be intellectual property, it could be an investment, it could be a product, it could be a system, it could be something you create that continues to provide value after the initial work has been completed. The important idea is not that everyone must start a company or become an investor. The important idea is learning to think about how your effort can create something that continues to work for you. Imagine spending an entire year learning a skill. At first, you may only be able to earn a small amount from that skill. But as you become better, your opportunities may increase. You may eventually teach the skill, build a service around it, create a product from it, or use it to build something larger. Your knowledge has become an asset. That is the kind of thinking worth developing. Instead of asking only, how much will I be paid for this hour? But there is another lesson that separates people who simply earn money from people who understand money. And that lesson is ownership. When you work for someone, you are usually exchanging your time and skills for income. There is nothing wrong with that. A job can provide stability, experience, knowledge, and an opportunity to build a foundation. But if your only source of income is the hours you personally work, there is a limit to how much you can earn because your time is limited. You only have so many hours in a day. This is why wealthy people often think beyond income and begin thinking about ownership. Ownership means having something that can create value without requiring you to personally perform every single task forever. It could be a business, it could be intellectual property, it could be an investment, it could be a product, it could be a system, it could be something you create that continues to provide value after the initial work has been completed. The important idea is not that everyone must start a company or become an investor. The important idea is learning to think about how your effort can create something that continues to work for you. Imagine spending an entire year learning a skill. At first, you may only be able to earn a small amount from that skill. But as you become better, your opportunities may increase. You may eventually teach the skill, build a service around it, create a product from it, or use it to build something larger. Your knowledge has become an asset. That is the kind of thinking worth developing. Instead of asking only, "How much will I be paid for this hour?" ask yourself, "What can I create during this hour that could still have value tomorrow?" That question changes your relationship with time, because time is the one resource you can never earn back. You can lose money and potentially make it again. You can lose a business and potentially build another. You can make a financial mistake and learn from it. But yesterday will never return. That is why wealthy thinking often places enormous value on time. Not because every minute has to be spent working. In fact, constantly working without rest can destroy your ability to think clearly. The goal is not to become a machine. The goal is to use your time intentionally. There is a difference between being busy and being productive. You can spend 10 hours doing things that move you nowhere. You can spend one focused hour learning something important and change the direction of your future. So ask yourself, what deserves your attention? Not every notification deserves a response. Not every argument deserves your energy. Not every trend deserves your attention. Not every opportunity deserves your time. Learning to say no can be just as valuable as learning to say yes. Every time you say yes to something, you are giving it a piece of your limited life. That means you should become more selective about what receives your attention. This is especially important in the age of social media. Every day, millions of people are exposed to carefully designed images of success. Luxury cars, huge houses, designer clothes, private jets, expensive watches, perfect vacations. People displaying money as if wealth is simply a collection of things. And if you spend enough time watching that content, you can begin to believe that you are falling behind. You may start thinking, "Why don't I have that?" But remember, you are comparing your real life to someone else's carefully selected moments. You don't know the full story. You don't know their expenses. You don't know their debts. You don't know their private struggles. You don't know what happened before the camera turned on. So stop measuring your progress against somebody else's highlight reel. Measure yourself against who you were yesterday. Are you learning more? Are you becoming more disciplined? Are you making better decisions? Are you becoming more valuable? Are you controlling your spending better? Are you building something? Are you becoming more patient? Those are better measurements. Because financial freedom is not a competition. There is no prize for becoming wealthy before everyone else. The goal is to build a financial life that works for you. And sometimes that requires making decisions that look boring. Saving money can look boring. Reading can look boring. Learning a skill can look boring. Building an emergency fund can look boring. Saying no to unnecessary spending can look boring. Working quietly on a business can look boring. But boring decisions can create exciting results. The opposite is also true. Exciting decisions can create painful consequences. Buying something you cannot afford can feel exciting for a moment. Taking unnecessary financial risks can feel exciting. Trying to get rich overnight can feel exciting. But excitement is not the same thing as progress. This is why discipline is so powerful. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline allows you to continue when motivation disappears. There will be days when you don't feel like learning. There will be days when you don't feel like saving. There will be days when your business does not make money. There will be days when your goals feel too far away. Those are the moments when discipline matters most. Anyone can be motivated when everything is going well. The real test comes when progress is slow. Can you continue? Can you adjust? Can you learn? Can you remain patient? Can you avoid destroying your future because today feels difficult? That is where your mindset becomes important. A wealthy mindset does not mean believing that everything will work perfectly. It means understanding that problems are part of the process. Every business has problems. Every career has challenges. Every investment carries some level of risk. Every ambitious goal requires sacrifices. The goal is not to avoid every problem. The goal is to become capable enough to handle problems when they arrive. This is another reason education is so valuable. Education does not guarantee wealth, but knowledge can help you make better decisions. Learn before you risk. Understand before you commit. Ask questions before signing something. Read before agreeing. Research before investing. Don't allow excitement to replace understanding. One of the most dangerous financial decisions a person can make is putting money into something they do not understand simply because someone promised them a huge return. The promise of easy money can be extremely attractive, but if something sounds too good to be true, slow down. Wealth is usually built through value, patience, discipline, and intelligent decisions, not magic, not shortcuts, not guaranteed riches, and definitely not by believing every person online who says they have discovered the secret to becoming rich overnight. The strongest financial mindset is curious but skeptical. You should be willing to learn, but you should also be willing to question. You should be ambitious, but you should also understand risk. You should dream big, but you should also build carefully. Dreaming gives you direction. Discipline gives you movement. Knowledge gives you better decisions. Patience gives those decisions time to produce results. And consistency keeps you moving when the excitement disappears. Now think about the way you respond when you receive unexpected money. Maybe you receive a bonus. Maybe you get a better paying job. Maybe your business has a good month. Maybe someone gives you money. Your first instinct might be to celebrate by spending it. There is nothing wrong with enjoying some of your success. But before spending everything, pause. Ask yourself what this money could do for your future. Could it remove a financial burden? Could it help you learn something? Could it help you build an emergency reserve? Could it help you improve your business? Could it help you create an opportunity? Could it simply remain saved until you have a better plan? The answer will be different for every person. But the important part is developing the habit of thinking before spending. Because every dollar has a destination. If you don't choose its destination, someone else will. Advertising will choose. Social media will choose. Trends will choose. Friends may influence you. Your emotions may choose. And sometimes your emotions will choose something your future self would never have chosen. This is why financial discipline begins with awareness. Know where your money goes. Know what you spend. Know what you owe. Know what you earn. Know what you are trying to build. You don't need to be ashamed of where you are starting. You simply need to be honest about where you are. You cannot improve a situation you refuse to look at. If you have made financial mistakes, learn from them. If you have wasted money, understand why. If you have taken on debt, create a plan to deal with it. If you have never saved before, start with what you can. Your first step does not need to be impressive. It needs to be real. A small amount saved consistently is more meaningful than a huge plan that never begins. A single useful skill learned is better than 100 videos watched without action. One good financial habit repeated is better than temporary motivation. This is the mindset of building. You are not trying to change everything in one day. You are building a system that can make better decisions easier tomorrow. And as your thinking changes, your behavior begins to change. As your behavior changes, your habits begin to change. As your habits change, your results can begin to change. And eventually, your life can begin to look different, not because of one magical moment, but because of hundreds of small decisions that moved you in the same direction. That is the power of compounding, and we are only getting started. Thanks for listening to Rich Mind Narrations. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep building your future. See you in the next video.